Hello everyone, welcome back to Extract the Fact. I'm your host, Adam Israelovitz. So today we're profiling a really relevant issue, and we're actually projecting to the future today. We're going to jump right back into domestic politics. This one is really exciting, and I think it affects each and every one of you, particularly because I'm a high school teenager. I know this is a very popular debate amongst my friends, and I'm really excited to get this to you guys today. So we're going to jump right into it because we have a lot to get to. But the topic for today is, should Democrats move to the left or move to the center for the upcoming 2018 and 2020 elections in Congress? So we're not going to be debating the policies today on the far left or in the center left, but we're going to be debating what is the best path forward for Democrats to garner the most votes. So again, this is about votes, not about the actual policy. So we're going to be really talking about political strategy today over policy. So I'll first be arguing for the center. Move to the center is best to garner more votes, and then we're going to transition to how the Democrats should pursue the far left or to the progressive side of things. So again, really a lot to get to. I have a lot of good stuff to share with you guys today, so let's just jump right in it. So arguing for the center first. One core premise of this argument is, if we look back to history, many people of this argument will say, in the Clinton years of the 1990s, very similar situation. We had a Democratic President Carter in the 70s, which was many Americans saw as not a good presidency for the Democratic Party and for America as a whole. That led to a two-term presidency for Ronald Reagan. So Democrats in the 1990s had to regroup. And the way they had to regroup was with President Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton really pushed those white middle America voters that he really pushed for, and that moved the Democratic Party instead to the left. It actually moved it to the center, and that's how the Democrats regained their strengths in America. It wasn't moving all the way to the left, but rather really focusing on middle America and that moderate Democratic platform. And that really worked well in the 1990s politically. So in a New York Times article, they say Clinton restricted or limited siren calls from the left and instead favored this moderate left policy. In addition, there's a New York Times editorial that came out this year that is pushing Democrats to pursue a more centrist ideology rather than a progressive one. And they say, quote, "Central to the Democrats' diminishment has been their loss of support among working class voters who feel abandoned by the party's shift away from moderate positions on trade and immigration, from backing police and tough anti-crime measures, from trying to restore manufacturing jobs. They saw their party being mired too often in political correctness, transgender bathroom issues, and policies offering more to help undocumented immigrants than to the heartland." So again, this is the argument that instead of focusing on these social issues that are popular among the progressive left, they need to refocus on center-left economic policies that benefit middle America, which is in 2016, again, Trump really dominated that non-college educated white male vote that Democrats really lost big time in, and that they say is a key reason why the Democrats have to refocus on this centrist ideology to kind of bring those disillusioned and disenfranchised Republican voters back into the Democratic fold, because originally they were in the Democratic fold and they did vote for Bill Clinton in the 1990s, and now we see this dramatic shift. In addition, James Comey, who was the former FBI director, was actually fired by President Trump last year, tweeted that, he said, quote, "Democrats, please don't lose your minds and rush to the socialist left." He argued that America's great middle wants sensible, balanced, ethical leadership. So again, this is a really interesting contrast between the establishment. Again, James Comey was an FBI director. He's an insider in Washington, versus this kind of new, many people point to millennials as a key block of this constituency, the new Democrat, the outsider. It's again, even though James Comey, again, he's urging the Democrats to pursue this centrist ideology, which is what traditionally was done, but now we see there's an emerging progressive party. Now, many people claim that this is just a reaction to Trump, this far left movement, that the far left is just promulgating because of Trump's policies, and they see it not as actually a policy revelation, but more whatever Trump does, we're going to do the exact polar opposite, and this is creating a huge polarization that is not healthy for the country. Now, many people think this so-called blue wave of opportunity among the progressives is just a reaction to Trump, and it's not actually what a majority of the constituency feels. It's just against Trump. So that's not healthy for the long-term policy of the party. Now, another school of thought is that the far left will always actually choose the Democrat over the Republican because of these social issues, because of gun control, because of abortion, because of all these social issues, because of transgender bathroom issues like we talked about before. All these, even if you're a center-left Democrat, all of those will still be supported under the center-left Democrat platform. If you move to the really far left, you're going to disillusion that centrist population. Instead, if you keep center, you're most likely going to still maintain that far left constituency because it's unlikely that very progressives are just going to move all the way around to the Republican platform. They're still going to be tied to the centrist Democratic platform. So that's another political argument there. In addition, NBC News backs this up. They write that showing Democratic compromise is key. So showing these centrist voters that they're willing to pursue bipartisan legislative action in Congress with Republicans, that will show as a sign that Democrats are moving to the center and really trying to work together, which will bring back these disillusioned Trump voters like we talked about, which is really the key issue here. So again, really an economic-driven, middle America-driven push to the center. So now we'll switch gears a little bit. We'll talk about how the Democrats should move more to the progressive left for future elections. And instead of pursuing the center, they need to move to the far left because that is really where the base is now. They're saying instead of, there's been a shifting of the base, so now the party has to shift with it. So let's explore that a little bit. So I just want to pull up for you, read a little bit about, this is another New York Times editorial separate from the one we talked about above. This is their conclusion. I thought it was a really good summary of what we're going to be talking about. So it says, quote, Democrats will not defeat Trump and his increasingly fanatical, revanchist party by promising the restoration of what came before him. The country is desperate for a vision of something better. Whether or not you share that same vision, if you truly believe that Trump is a threat to democracy, you should welcome politics that inspire people to come to democracy's rescue. So again, this is more of an ideological revolution. It is very anti-Trump, and it's saying we need the opposite of Trump to kind of put this bulwark against this new Republican Party, and will rise from this huge divergence that we're going to be creating. And again, this is what's called the blue wave. The blue wave, similar to the red wave actually of the Tea Party in Barack Obama's years, the blue wave is meant to be this very activist, loud Democratic platform that the far left and really preaches for and activism against President Trump. And they see that is the way forward to garner more support because they see the base as now moving away from the center and moving towards the left. And since that is the new base, that's where the party should go. Now, Vice as well backs this up. They cite a progressive PAC, Justice Democrats, and they say on issues from racial justice to economic equality, Democratic primary voters are increasingly united around progressive policies, and those who represent them or aspire to would do well to act and vote accordingly. Again, this is an anti-establishment act by the Democratic Party. People like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, even though he is an independent, those were the outsiders. You know, the Hillary Clintons of the world were the establishment kind of centrist Democrat, but now we're veering more to the left, and those people are gaining more mainstream light and talked about more in a mainstream way inside the Democratic Party. So again, this base is slowly starting to move towards the progressive side. In addition, the Young Turks cite in a recent poll for 2020, the best Democratic candidate to actually beat Trump is Bernie Sanders, who is obviously known as a progressive candidate. So they're saying the centrist in 2020 for these big presidential elections, maybe not for the midterms, but for the presidential elections, it is clear that we need a strong divergence from President Trump. And Bernie Sanders is that answer. Hillary Clinton was a little more to the center, while Bernie Sanders is far left. So that is a clear divergence, so people will support Bernie over Trump because of those progressive policies like we mentioned. Finally, Bloomberg cites that progressives have found a way to move the policy conversation to the left without attacking moderates. So again, this is key. The policy and the party has moved to the left, but moderates have not felt disillusioned with the party, even though the party is moving to the left. So this is a really core distinction, because to reinvigorate the base, they argue that you need this strong left position to really ignite the fire amongst the base. Centrism doesn't really inspire many people, but rather a progressive platform can, and it can inspire change. That's what Barack Obama ran on, and that's what Bernie Sanders relies on now as well. And to reinvigorate this base, it is key to working with all this activism, and they see the far left as that way to promulgate this activism. So I think this is a really interesting issue. This is a debate that goes on for a while. There's not as many facts here as I would have liked because it's a lot of opinions and, again, political theory here. But I think it's really important to discuss. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think tomorrow we're going to be doing a Republican political theory on maybe if the Republicans should stay moving to the right as they did with President Trump's 2016 election or move back to the center. But we'll discuss that maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But hope you guys have a good day, and please comment below. Thanks.